So Mining Weekly Online is talking to Graham Herbert, the CEO of Teba Limited, once again, to get an update on something like 200,000 ex-mine workers who are owed 5 billion rand in unpaid benefits. Graham, thanks very much for coming into the studio. Can you give us an update on the situation of hunting down ex-mining workers and hoping to get them the money that is due to them?
Yes, Martin, we can. We've, in our radio campaign last month, as I said, received about 10,000 calls to our call centre and our walk-in centres throughout our footprint, and in this last month have received an additional 15,000. So in total, we've received more than 25,000. It's nearly 25,500 requests from people who suspect that they may be owed money by the mining industry.
And that's still just ring-fenced around the Eastern Cape at this point?
No, what we've also done since the primary radio campaign, which targeted the Eastern Cape, we've also been on local radio stations, community radio stations in all labour sending areas. So we now have call-in and walk-in requests coming from Mozambique, the Limpopo province, KwaZulu, the Northwest, Swaziland and Botswana.
And have any payouts been made as a result of your intervention?
Well, that's an excellent question. Very few payouts have been made as a result of this intervention, Martin. And the reason why, and we anticipated this, is that it takes a long time to get an application approved and money paid to people. It's administratively burdensome, and the money takes time to get to the beneficiary. That, however, is a risk that we are prepared to take in the medium term on behalf of the mining industry, the administrators and the trustees, because we believe we're at a point now where this needs to be done on a demand-led basis rather than on a supply-led basis. So that is a big risk that we're taking, and we're doing that knowingly, and we're doing it because we believe it's the right thing to do.
But the sort of momentum is being put in place and the processing is beginning, so one should see some sort of money changing hands before the end of the year?
Most certainly before the end of the year. I mean, when I say none have been paid out, that's not 100% true. We've probably paid out just under 100, but that in terms of the total backlog is barely worth mentioning. It's such a small number.
And what about the silicosis situation? How are you doing with regard to occupational disease benefits?
Well, there we're still very excited about the joint intervention that we're doing with the Medical Bureau of Occupational Disease. We have now completed about 35,000 of the 200,000 records of assessed mine workers with silicosis, and are beginning and are very satisfied with that progress. And once that project has been completed, then the Medical Bureau will be in a position to analyse how many of those mine workers still need to be paid and how to find them.
And what sort of level of payment can those people anticipate, and what would be the highest payout for the silicosis disease?
My understanding of that is that those payments can be anything up to about 150,000 rand per claim. I think in terms of law, and here I'm not a specialist, the maximum benefit is in that region.
And have people been paid out for silicosis?
Yes, there have been payments in the past, of course, but these 200,000 are a sample of a bigger pool of assessed claims that haven't been paid out. It represents about a quarter of the total. So there are probably about 1 million people who've been assessed whose awards need to be analysed.
And the 200,000 you referred to with the silicosis, does that overlap with the 200,000 total globular figure that are owed about 5 billion?
That's a good question. No, these are two separate pools. The 5 billion, roughly 200,000 people that we referred to being owed by the mining industry in respect of various claims, awards at least, those are mainly pension and provident fund, long service awards, and the Mines 1970s fund. The 200,000 that we have this joint work on with the Medical Bureau of Occupational Disease is purely for silicosis.
So if you added the two together, we're talking about 400,000 people, and the 5 billion gets much bigger, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It certainly does. We don't really have a number on the outstanding amount owing to assessed mine workers with silicosis. We don't know what that number is. If we had an estimate, we'd share that with you, but we're not quite sure what that number is.
So people are still responding. It's still demand-driven now, and you're getting them phoning in through the call centre.
Yes, we are, and the trend is upward. So in the first month, 10,000 roughly, and in the second month, 15,000, and our month is not yet complete. So we're happy with that upward trend. We, I suppose, are alive to the expectation that we're creating in mining communities, and are inviting all stakeholders to help us meet that expectation of people who feel that they have a legitimate claim, and to get them paid as quickly as possible.